There's a reason Sigma Empaths often feel like they don't belong in this world, because they don't think on the same wavelength as everyone else. Their minds move in layers, reading not just what people say, but what they mean, and even what they're afraid to admit to themselves. To most, life is a series of events. To the Sigma Empath, it's a web of patterns, energy, and unspoken emotion that connect everything together. They can sense intentions before words are spoken, see contradictions hidden behind smiles, and predict emotional shifts that others overlook. It's not magic, it's depth. The kind of depth that comes from observation, intuition, and a mind wired for emotional geometry. But this level of perception comes at a cost, because while the Sigma Empath can see the truth in everyone else, very few can ever see into them. They live between worlds, feeling everything, yet belonging nowhere. If you've ever felt like you think too deeply, feel too much, or see through people too easily, this video will explain why. Subscribe to Brainy Empath for weekly insights into emotional intelligence, intuition, and the rare psychology of deep thinkers. And tell me in the comments, have you ever read someone so deeply it scared even you? They read emotional energy before logic even begins. Before a Sigma Empath even processes your words, they've already felt your energy. It's not intuition in the mystical sense, it's emotional pattern recognition at a level most people can't comprehend. When someone enters a room, a Sigma Empath doesn't just notice body language, they feel the weight of what that person carries. The tone behind their laughter, the tension in their stillness, the story behind their silence. It's as if their subconscious collects data faster than logic can interpret it, scanning frequencies of truth and intention that others completely miss. From a young age, they learnt to survive by feeling. Maybe they grew up in environments where emotions weren't spoken but sensed. They had to predict shifts in mood before they exploded, learn who was safe without being told, and detect sincerity hidden beneath the noise. That emotional hyper-awarenessness became their compass. While others listen to words, the Sigma Empath listens to vibrations. They can feel when something's off long before it's proven. This ability makes them seem psychic, but it's really emotional intelligence amplified by solitude. Because they spend so much time in their own company, they've developed an internal clarity, a sensitivity fine-tuned through observation, not chaos. It's why they can meet someone for 5 minutes and already understand what they're hiding from themselves. They don't just hear, they absorb. They don't just observe, they connect threads of tone, tension, and truth that others overlook. But this depth is both a blessing and a burden. Feeling everything so vividly means they also carry emotional residue that isn't theirs. Crowds exhaust them, small talk feels draining. They crave stillness not because they dislike people, but because their energy field becomes overloaded with others' unfiltered emotions. Their body reacts to dishonesty like static in the air, subtle but unbearable over time. In a world obsessed with appearances, the Sigma Empath's perception is both their armor and their curse. They can't unsee, unfeel, or unknow what's beneath the surface. Their empathy isn't soft, it's surgical. It cuts through illusions, exposes contradictions, and reminds people that truth can't hide from those who feel it first. When a Sigma Empath looks at you, they're not judging, they're reading, and often they understand you more deeply than you'll ever understand yourself. Their minds decode hidden motives instantly. A Sigma Empath doesn't just listen to what you say, they listen to what you avoid saying. Their mind works like an emotional radar, picking up inconsistencies between words, tone, and energy in milliseconds. You can smile, compliment, or pretend to agree, but they'll notice the slight tension in your jaw, the hesitation in your eyes, the flicker of discomfort in your voice. They don't confront immediately, they observe. Quietly, patiently, long enough to confirm what their intuition already whispered the moment you entered their space. This ability isn't something they chose. It was built, forged, through years of reading people for safety, not curiosity. Many Sigma Empaths learned early on that motives rarely match intentions. They watch people say, "I care," while causing pain, promise loyalty while plotting betrayal, offer kindness that carried an invisible price tag. Over time, they developed a sixth sense, a pattern recognition skill that filters emotion from manipulation with surgical precision. Their mind functions like a silent algorithm. Every micro-expression, every shift in tone, every contradiction gets stored and analyzed subconsciously. It's not paranoia, it's self-protection. When they meet someone, they don't just see personality, they sense agenda. Whether it's validation-seeking, ego-feeding, or control disguised as care, the Sigma Empath detects it before it even unfolds. That's why people often say, "You read my mind." No, they just understand what your emotions are saying before you do. But this insight comes with emotional fatigue, because once you've seen behind the curtain of human behavior, it's hard to unsee it. It's exhausting to constantly sense deception, to decode manipulation wrapped in charm, to feel insincerity hidden beneath smiles. So the Sigma Empath stops trying to fix or expose. Instead, they withdraw, not out of bitterness, but wisdom. They understand that not everyone deserves the truth of what they see. Their calmness becomes their camouflage. While others chase validation or fall for false intentions, the Sigma Empath stands quietly on the edge, detached, aware, and unshakably clear. They no longer need to prove that they're right. The truth always reveals itself, and when it does, they're never surprised, because they felt it long before it appeared. They experience multiple perspectives at once. For a Sigma Empath, every situation is a mosaic of emotions, intentions, and unseen truths. They don't just feel their own perspective, they inhabit everyone else's at the same time. In an argument, they understand their own pain, the other person's fear, and the unspoken insecurities beneath it all. This isn't overthinking, it's emotional multidimensionality. Their mind doesn't operate linearly. It expands, weaving empathy and logic into one continuous loop of understanding that never truly stops. It's both a gift and a weight. When others see conflict as right versus wrong, the Sigma Empath sees 1,000 shades of why. They understand why the liar lies, why the cold-hearted shut down, why the cruel were once wounded. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but it explains it. And that awareness makes it almost impossible for them to hate anyone completely. They can see the innocence in the broken and the brokenness in the innocent, often at the same time. This dual awareness is what makes them seem emotionally complex to others. They'll defend someone while also holding them accountable. They'll forgive, but not forget. They'll care deeply while keeping their distance. Because inside them, empathy and logic are constantly negotiating. One says, feel. The other whispers, protect. In relationships, this can be confusing for others. People often mistake the Sigma Empath's calm detachment for coldness, not realizing it's a balancing act, one between compassion and survival. They can understand your pain without drowning in it, feel your frustration without reacting to it. They carry emotional mirrors, reflecting back what others can't yet see about themselves. But this awareness also isolates them. Few people can comprehend what it's like to hold multiple emotional truths at once. The world prefers simplicity, heroes or villains, right or wrong, love or hate. The Sigma Empath lives in the in-between, where everything is layered, nuanced, painfully human. Their strength lies in their ability to see all sides without losing their own center. While others react, they reflect. While others judge, they understand. That's why their silence often feels so deep. It's not emptiness, it's analysis. They're not ignoring reality, they're just seeing it from every angle and choosing peace over chaos every single time. They feel patterns, not just situations. For the Sigma Empath, life doesn't unfold as random moments, it unfolds as repeating emotional patterns. Where others see isolated events, they see cycles, the subtle rhythm between cause and consequence. The emotional fingerprints that connect one behavior to another. Their intuition doesn't just react to what's happening, it remembers what it means. Every tone, gesture, and shift in energy becomes a clue in a larger psychological puzzle. When someone hurts them, they don't just feel the pain, they analyze the pattern behind it. They ask themselves, why did this feel familiar? Because to a Sigma Empath, pain is rarely new. It's often a mirror reflecting something unresolved. They can trace emotional loops across years, relationships, even generations. It's as if their mind keeps a library of emotional blueprints, decoding not just what people do, but why they keep doing it. That's why they seem 2 steps ahead in emotional awareness. A person may tell them, I've changed, but the Sigma Empath reads the rhythm of their energy and knows otherwise. It's not judgment, it's recognition. They've learned to trust repetition over promises. To them, patterns are truth, the hidden mathematics of the human soul. This awareness is also what keeps them detached. Once they recognize a toxic loop, they refuse to re-enter it. Their silence becomes a break in the cycle. They stop explaining, stop hoping, and start observing from a distance. They know that some people don't change because their chaos feels like home, and the Sigma Empath refuses to live there anymore. But behind that calm detachment lies deep emotional intelligence. They don't withdraw out of apathy, but out of understanding. They see that trying to fix repeating dysfunction only delays healing. Instead, they break the pattern by breaking contact. They choose solitude over repetition, peace over emotional déjà vu. People mistake their distance for coldness, but in truth, it's a kind of wisdom that comes only from seeing too much. Sigma Empaths don't react to situations anymore, they respond to systems. They don't get lost in the noise of a single event, they listen to the echo it leaves behind. Because when you learn to feel patterns, you stop living reactively and start living consciously. They absorb pain but translate it into understanding. For most people, pain feels like something to escape. But for a Sigma Empath, it becomes something to decode. They don't just feel hurt, they study it. Every heartbreak, betrayal, or moment of silence becomes data that teaches them about human nature. They absorb pain not because they enjoy suffering, but because their mind instinctively seeks meaning inside it. To them, emotion is a language, and pain is one of its most honest dialects. When someone wounds them, they don't lash out. They withdraw, quietly, like the ocean pulling back before a powerful wave. In that solitude, they analyze the experience piece by piece. What did this teach me about boundaries? What does this reveal about how people love, fear, or lie? Their mind transforms emotion into insight, the chaos into clarity. It's not detachment, it's alchemy. They take darkness and turn it into understanding. This is why Sigma Empaths seem so wise, even after devastation. They can explain betrayal with compassion, describe trauma with calm, and forgive without forgetting. It's not that they don't feel pain deeply, they feel it entirely, but instead of being consumed by it, they metabolize it. Where others see wounds, they see windows. Every scar becomes a story about growth, resilience, and the complexity of being human. They've learned that running from pain only makes it chase you, so they sit with it. The ache, the confusion, the silence, until it starts to speak. That's when they uncover the lessons buried beneath it. They realize the pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every time someone broke them, they were unknowingly helping the Sigma Empath evolve into a version of themselves that can no longer be manipulated, deceived, or drained. But this kind of transformation comes with isolation. Few people understand someone who can remain calm in the middle of heartbreak, or analyze suffering instead of drowning in it. That's why Sigma Empaths often seem mysterious. They carry wisdom earned from surviving emotional earthquakes that others couldn't even name. They don't seek revenge or pity. Their power lies in transformation, taking everything that tried to destroy them and turning it into awareness. They've turned pain into perspective, heartbreak into boundaries, and loss into emotional fluency. Because once a Sigma Empath learns how to translate pain into understanding, no one can ever weaponize it against them again. They see truth as layers, not absolutes. To the Sigma Empath, truth isn't black or white. It's a spectrum of hidden layers, emotions, and motives overlapping each other. While most people rush to label situations as right or wrong, good or bad, the Sigma Empath pauses. They've seen too much complexity to believe in simplicity. They understand that behind every harsh word is a wound, behind every act of kindness could be guilt, and behind every confident smile might live deep insecurity. To them, truth is never singular, it's shaped by pain, perception, and personal history. This depth of perception makes them extraordinary listeners, but also lonely observers. They can see through the stories people tell. Not just what's being said, but why it's being said. They recognize that people lie not only to others, but to themselves. And so, when someone hurts them, they rarely respond with rage. Instead, they analyze. They feel the emotional contradictions, the mixture of fear, pride, and unresolved trauma driving human behavior. It's not sympathy, it's understanding. They see that no one is purely villain or victim. Everyone is both, depending on where you stand. But this layered understanding can feel isolating. When everyone else is reacting to the surface, to what was said or done, the Sigma Empath is quietly reading the undercurrents. They see how truth bends in the presence of ego, how intentions shift when emotions take control. This makes them cautious. They speak less, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've realized how few people can handle nuance without turning it into conflict. Their emotional intelligence isn't about softness, it's about precision. They can hold opposing truths at once, that someone can love you and still hurt you, that growth can coexist with grief, that peace can look like silence but feel like healing. And once they reach that level of awareness, they stop seeking explanations, they stop arguing for perspective, they simply let truth reveal itself in time because it always does. This is what makes Sigma Empaths feel older than their age, wiser than their peers, and sometimes misunderstood by the world. They don't chase clarity, they become it. They've learned that the truth isn't a single answer waiting to be found. It's a process of peeling back the layers until only peace remains. They use intuition as an internal compass. For the Sigma Empath, intuition isn't a feeling, it's a form of perception. It's not magic, not a guess, but an inner navigation system built from years of observing what others miss. While most people rely on logic or advice to make decisions, Sigma Empaths follow something quieter, a deep, almost sacred knowing that seems to rise from within. It's the voice that whispers truth when the world gets loud, the signal that cuts through emotional noise. And though they can't always explain it, they've learned the hard way that ignoring it always leads to regret. Their intuition isn't built from thin air, it's shaped by pain, empathy, and observation. Every betrayal they've endured, every emotional shift they've sensed before it was spoken, it all became data. Over time, their subconscious became finely tuned to human patterns, tone changes, micro-expressions, inconsistencies between words and energy. They absorb everything, often without realizing it. So when their intuition warns them, it's not guessing, it's recognizing. They see the unseen connections long before logic catches up. This internal compass guides them through relationships, opportunities, and danger alike. When others call them paranoid or too sensitive, they stay silent because they know how often their instincts have been right. Their gut doesn't scream, it hums quietly, like a radar scanning emotional frequencies. It tells them when something feels off, when someone's words don't match their vibration, when a space suddenly feels heavy or safe. They might not always act immediately, but they never forget the signal. That's why Sigma Empaths seem to make effortless decisions. It's not impulsiveness, it's alignment. They don't overthink, they feel the truth and move with it, and when their intuition tells them to leave, they don't argue with themselves anymore. They walk away peacefully, knowing that intuition isn't always comfortable, it's just always correct. But following this compass often leads them down lonely paths. Intuitive people live in a world that doesn't trust what it can't measure. Yet, over time, the Sigma Empath realizes their intuition is their greatest advantage, the one thing that never lies, never manipulates, and never abandons them. They've learned that peace doesn't come from controlling life, but from trusting the inner voice that already knows where to go. While others chase answers outside themselves, the Sigma Empath walks calmly, guided by something far deeper, the quiet truth within. They live in duality, deep feeling and detachment in perfect balance. For most people, emotion and detachment exist on opposite ends of a spectrum. You're either deeply feeling or completely numb. But for the Sigma Empath, these two forces live in perfect coexistence. They can feel everything, the pain, the beauty, the tension in a room, and yet remain grounded, centered, and in control. It's not because they suppress their emotions, but because they've mastered the art of feeling without drowning. They live in the space where empathy meets awareness, where the heart feels but the mind leads. To outsiders, this balance can look confusing. How can someone care so deeply, yet walk away so calmly? How can they feel sadness without breaking, or love without losing themselves? The answer lies in their emotional calibration. The Sigma Empath has learned through experience that sensitivity without structure leads to chaos. Every time they gave too much, they lost themselves. Every time they detached too far, they lost connection. So they began to craft a balance, to feel deeply but wisely. In relationships, they don't shut down emotions, they manage them. They can love you fiercely, but if you cross certain lines, they'll detach with the same precision they once gave affection. That's not coldness, it's emotional self-respect. Their empathy doesn't make them naive, it makes them aware. They read emotions the way others read books, understanding that sometimes silence is protection and distance is clarity. Their duality becomes their quiet strength. They can be compassionate without being controlled, forgiving without forgetting, and intuitive without being consumed. This emotional equilibrium makes them untouchable, not because they avoid feeling, but because they integrate it. They no longer swing between extremes, they move through emotions with poise, like someone who has seen both light and shadow and made peace with both. And this is what makes Sigma Empaths truly rare. They don't live in conflict with their duality, they honor it. They understand that the same heart that feels deeply must also know when to let go. Their power lies in this paradox: to care without being controlled, to love without losing power, and to feel without falling apart. That balance is what turns their sensitivity into strength and their soul into armor. In the end, Sigma Empaths don't chase validation, they chase alignment. They don't explain their depth, they embody it. While most people are still trying to decode emotions at the surface, Sigma Empaths are already 10 layers deep, understanding motives, patterns, and truths no one else even notices. Their mind is quiet but powerful, their empathy precise, and their detachment sacred, because they've learned something rare, that seeing the world in multiple dimensions isn't a curse, it's clarity. And once they embrace it, they stop trying to fit in with people who only see in one. They don't argue, they don't prove, they simply live from a higher level of awareness, where peace replaces confusion and depth replaces noise. If you've ever felt too deep for shallow conversations or too aware for chaotic connections, you might just think like a Sigma Empath. Subscribe for more deep psychological insights into the minds that feel and think differently. And tell me in the comments, do you trust your intuition more than logic?